In Book 4 of the Gay Science, titled Saint Januarius, Nietzsche introduces us to his concept of Amor fati. Aphorism 276 reads, "For the new year, I'm still alive, I still think, I must still be alive because I still have to think. Sum ergo cogito, cogito ergo sum." Today everyone allows himself to express his dearest wish and thoughts. So I, too, want to say what I wish for myself today, and what thought first crossed my heart. What thought shall be the reason, warrant, and sweetness of the rest of my life. I want to learn more and more how to see what is necessary in things as what is beautiful in them. Thus I will be one of those who make things beautiful. Amor fati. Let that be my love from now on. I do not want to accuse. I do not even want to accuse the accusers. Let looking away be my only negation. And, all in all and on the whole, some day I want only to be a yes-sayer. This quote comes from the Cambridge edition of the Gay Science, edited by Bernard Williams. There's a lot to get into here. Let's begin with what Saint Januarius means to us readers, and perhaps what it means to Nietzsche as well. Firstly, Saint Januarius refers to an historical figure, the patron saint of Naples. He was a bishop and later a martyr in the early 300s. Famously, there are a couple vials of his blood kept at the Naples Cathedral. This blood is supposed to bring miracles to the city and its people. We can read into this with regard to Nietzsche as the underlying sense for why he is writing this aphorism. The main thrust and spirit is vitality and rejuvenation. Nietzsche experienced chronic illness throughout his entire life, from near blindness to agonizing migraines to prolonged periods of vomiting to a weak digestive system, and so on. But in the time that he writes this aphorism, in this section of the Gay Science, he's experiencing an improvement in his health, both mental and physical. To build on to the imagery here, we can think about the vials of Januarius's blood, which supposedly remain solid throughout the year, but in various periods throughout, they liquefy. This melting process can be seen as a metaphor for Nietzsche's health and thirst for life. At the time of writing, Nietzsche is experiencing a profound atmosphere of positivity and wealth of spirit. The solid, unmoving state is gone. He is no longer hard, rigid, or stuck, as it were. He is flowing and full of life. Januarius also refers to January, literally meaning so in Latin. The idea here being Nietzsche is sort of giving us his New Year's resolution. We get this from the header or title of the aphorism, for the New Year. Though this video is not supposed to be about Descartes, Nietzsche is directly speaking to him here in the beginning, and doing so through a play on words. But before this, he gives us an interesting and somewhat puzzling opener. He is still alive. He is still thinking. And for some reason, he must still be alive because he still has to think. On face value, we can read this as someone who just survived a bout of intense sickness. To the point of death, perhaps. It certainly has that feeling to it. But why then would he bother with the thinking aspect? Shouldn't he just be happy to be alive? We can read this as Nietzsche's mind conquering his suffering body by living through the physical sicknesses he underwent. The importance of thinking for him is its relation to life itself. It's not just something one does because they can do it or because it is fun. It's something that anchors Nietzsche to his life. One would assume that they can think because they are still alive, but he flips this on its head. What is keeping him here in this world is his mind. He then gets into the famous cogito ergo sum, or I think, therefore I am. Nietzsche flips this statement on its head as well, saying literally, sum ergo cogito, or I am, therefore I think. This gets into a different realm of concepts, so I'll leave it here for now. But if you're interested in reading more on Nietzsche's thoughts when it comes to the human mind, being, and the self, he gets into more detail in Beyond Good and Evil. But I will say briefly, just for interest, whenever I read this passage, I see Nietzsche as offering the argument that life itself comes first, and thinking can come to us as a kind of survival mechanism. Because of the way we are, we need things to anchor us in life, give us meaning and a sense of purpose. One's capacity for thought, which for all of us usually comes in a form that is uncontrollable, keeps us grounded in a way. But I'll keep it to this for now. I'm curious to hear your thoughts, and maybe I'll do a video on this topic at a later date. In any case, Nietzsche then gets into the New Year's goal kind of part of the aphorism, in which he states, "Today everyone allows himself to express his dearest wish and thoughts," and so he adds his to the list. But this in particular has a heavy sense of magnitude behind it. Is Nietzsche here being a bit overdramatic? I'm not sure. But he states that this thought he is about to put forward will dictate the rest of his life. He states the reason, warrant, and sweetness of the rest of his life. Finally, we get into the most important and deep part of the aphorism, the concept itself. He states, "I want to learn more and more how to see what is necessary in things as what is beautiful in them. Thus I will be one of those who make things beautiful. Amor fati, let that be my love from now on. I do not want to accuse. I do not even want to accuse the accusers. Let looking away be my only negation. And, all in all and on the whole, some day I want only to be a yes-sayer." Okay, so, amor fati is a Latin phrase which translates to love of fate. This can be a rather vague adage, so it cannot be instantly understood at first glance. We know that the Stoics used the term to signify something as well. For the Stoics, love of fate meant realizing that one must come to terms with the perfect rational order of the universe. This can be used as a way of coming to terms with life's hardships. In a way, it is a resignation to the idea that there is something greater than you, steering the ship. Nietzsche doesn't want us to take this away from his use of the term. Instead, he uses it to celebrate life. When he talks about the necessity of things, he is referring indirectly to things we may deem to be troubling about them. But by framing something as beautiful, we can change the way we perceive it. For example, one can become overwhelmed and distraught by a personal physical defect and just see it as a negative aspect of their life. But by framing it in such a way that it becomes integral to who they are, to see it as something that actually matters, one can come out of it for the better. It is possible here that some of Nietzsche's thinking stems from reflection on the shortness of life and the inevitability of death. We see how other philosophers and philosophical systems deal with this fundamental problem. Many of them do not really want to face it, and the ones that do often dilute the problem or reframe it in a way that does not directly deal with it. For example, the Stoics act passively and resign to it. But Nietzsche here is invoking himself and his readers to stare right back at these deep and often frightening realities. Quote, "Let looking away be my only negation," he says. "Through birth, I've been granted a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. There are no other chances. Why would I sit back, turn away, or even try to run away?" I think this is what Nietzsche is trying to get at. Near the end of Book 4, The second last aphorism, 341, Nietzsche gives us a thought experiment that goes hand in hand with the concept of fate and amor fati. It reads, "The heaviest weight. A demon were to steal into your loneliest loneliness and say to you, 'This life as you now live it, and have lived it, you'll have to live once again, and innumerable times again. And there will be nothing new in it, but every pain, and every joy, and every thought, and sigh, and everything unspeakably small or great in your life must return to you, all in the same succession and sequence. Even this spider, and this moonlight between the trees, and even this moment, and I myself, the eternal hourglass of existence, is turned over again and again, and you with it, speck of dust. Would you not throw yourself down and gnash your teeth and curse the demon who spoke thus? Or have you once experienced a tremendous moment when you would have answered him? You are a god, and never have I heard anything more divine. If this thought gained power over you as you are, it would transform and possibly crush you. The question in each and every thing, do you want this again and innumerable times again, would lie on your actions as the heaviest weight. Or how well disposed would you have to become to yourself and to life to long for nothing more fervently than for this ultimate eternal confirmation and seal? My first thoughts when reading this would probably be in line with the one of throwing myself down and gnashing my teeth, cursing out the demon. For me, part of the triumph and greatness of life lies in its finitude. The beginning and the end of life are integral and significant aspects of our existence. So I'm intrigued about how one would get to Nietzsche's headspace in this situation. I suppose part of the weight of the thought experiment here is in its goal. Why is the demon saying this? Why is Nietzsche saying this? What are the implications of living your life over and over again? How would this affect the way you see your life, the way you live it? He says point blank that the question, do you want this again and innumerable times again, would lie on your actions as the heaviest weight. It seems that he is trying to actively challenge one's perception of life, even inspire people to change themselves for the better. To me, this seems to be on par with asking questions such as, where do you see yourself in X number of years? Or are you happy with where you are now, etc. I'm curious if there's anything truly deeper than that within this thought experiment. Who is he writing this for? Is it just an exercise in personal reflection? Or does he feel like he's reaching a sympathetic audience? One could also look at this in terms of benchmarking someone's love for life. If they truly took what the demon said to heart, it would be a great way to gauge how they feel about their life. If everything happened again and again and again, exactly as it was, a person who lived a miserable life would probably be utterly enraged or disheartened. But this too should prompt one to enact changes to their lives for the better. Ultimately, this is exactly what the thought experiment is trying to evoke. It is not some grand threat, it's a mirror into one's life. Nietzsche is essentially daring us to seek out an existence that is so full of life and so vibrant, so intensely personal in our own, that if the demon did show up to our doorstep or room one day, we would have no cause to curse him out. We would simply call him divine. Amor fati is a high-stakes concept because it forces one to transform their darkest and most burdensome weights into an overflowing and emancipatory yes-saying. But if I'm being completely honest with you all, as beautifully written and profound as this concept is, it doesn't quite move me the way Nietzsche probably intended for the audience. There's a deeply romantic, almost desperate undertone to Amor fati. This underlying assumption that we absolutely must find a profound anchor in life, that we need to passionately affirm and find beauty in every agonizing detail just to justify our existence. From a more nihilistic standpoint, I would argue that this sense of anchoring isn't universally necessary. Do we really need to fall in love with our fate to live a good life? Or is it okay to simply exist? Sometimes the heavy things are just heavy. I don't necessarily believe we have to dress up our suffering as beautiful or forge a cosmic yes just to get through the day. In my opinion, you can accept the finitude and absurdity of life without having to passionately embrace it. That being said, you can reject the necessity of amor fati while still respecting the sheer, undeniable weight of the demon's question. Even if I don't feel compelled to become Nietzsche's ultimate yes-sayer, the thought experiment itself remains brilliantly jarring. It might not make me love my fate, but it certainly forces me to ask if I'm wasting my time. Its transformative power is real. It works as an incredible diagnostic tool for your current life trajectory, even if you strip away the grand philosophical romanticism. So that is where I leave you. I'm curious where you all land on this. Do you feel that need for a profound anchor in life, a radical love of your fate? Or are you comfortable living without that ultimate justification, accepting life just as it is? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below, and have a wonderful day.